what's happening, Jason, on the practice field currently. What has caught your eye recently?
Yeah, I think and a lot of this was to be expected. I think when you look at the quarterback position, Dillon Gabriel has continued to really look the part, really efficient in Levy's offense. Just from things that you hear he's taking on, he's very much embracing that leadership role within the team. Like I said, we talked about this a little bit last week that he already came into Oklahoma with a little bit of street cred based on what he's done, at UCF, and so I think he's not only brought that with him, but he kind of enhanced his leadership ability. He's one of the kids that works with a lot of these receivers and running backs and offensive linemen, just people generally offensive guys, just helping them learn the system a little bit, things that they can do off the field. Whether it's within the within the walls or taking his own time personally to do that. So a lot of good leadership qualities that you like to see out of your quarterback, particularly a guy that you're counting on to be your biggest playmaker, certainly at the quarterback position. And I think as people would expect, some of the other kids are a little bit, not that they're performing badly, but it's just one of those things you can see the clear difference. And Gabriel, a guy that's had 3 years of experience versus some kids that's just really never played at this level before. So I think it'll be a good maturation process for those kids through spring and obviously through summer and fall camp, just to get them to a level where they need to be, just to be a capable backup if that happens. Because there's the chances of Oklahoma of a quarterback becoming available from a transfer portal side that meets Oklahoma's needs and someone that would be willing to be a backup may not necessarily materialize in terms of someone that Oklahoma would like to offer scholarship to. So I think to a certain degree you're probably looking at what you have here. But I think very, very pleased with what Gabriel has been doing. A name that I continue to hear a lot of is from a running back perspective is Javante Barnes. I think he's a guy that a lot of us thought had the body from a physicality perspective to be able to compete right away. And some people I've talked to have went so far as to say they feel like he's their best running back at this point. Through spring has performed even better than Eric Gray and Marcus Major. Major's been a little bit dinged up with some minor injuries, but nothing that's really kind of curtailed him. But he's a guy that really shows out in speed, athleticism, and strength in a lot of the kind of individual drills that they do. So I think for him, it's just one of the big things for new guys, specifically as a true freshman, to be able to get on the field outside of the physicality and the body type, I think is the ability to block as a running back, pick up blitzes, and I think understand the offense. And so, like I said, everything that I've heard seems to be that he's performing at a really high level. Then when you move to the offensive line, I think McCade Matauer, excuse me, is a guy that's really started to separate himself, his experience that he's had at Cal, and I think that what he's done, he's been able to, from what I've been hearing, kind of anecdotally, that it looks like he's a guy that a lot of people would be very shocked if he's not one of their starting guards to begin the season. Andrew Rame is right there at the center position. He's been a little bit dinged up a little bit, so this allowed some other guys to get some reps there at the center position. Anton Harrison, and Wanye Morris have really anchored the tackle spot. So I think those are probably your two leaders in the clubhouse, at least spring wise, from an offensive line. And I think everything that I've been hearing is that the offensive line is performing at a much, much higher level right now compared to where they were last year at this time. So, not quite sure, what is really attributed to that. I think is it more, I think Bedenbaugh has been a little bit embarrassed of kind of how they've played over the last couple of years. So I think it's one thing to kind of get them situated. And I think the one thing that's very interesting, Cale Gundy talked a little bit about this in his press availability, and it was a little bit of shade towards Lincoln Riley. I mean, if you want to kind of think through it that way, but Gundy said that Levy is the most polished and the most complete offensive mind that he's ever been around. So I mean, depends on how you want to take it, and there was kind of interesting because there was a follow up question asked to Cale Gundy about that, and he talked about how polished that Jeff Levy was in all aspects of the offense, meaning understanding everything that the offensive line should be doing and is doing, and understanding the running game and making that a focal point of the offense. And that's something that he spoke to, that Riley had started learning that, and he probably wasn't as polished as Levy was. So I think I say that to say that perhaps maybe the offensive line, Levy did play offensive line at Oklahoma. He knows that position really, really well. So I think maybe the benefit that Oklahoma's seeing early on is that Levy is really in tune to the offensive line, where they should be blocking, what they're working towards, and what the fits look like, and the changes and the calls up front. So I think that might be a little bit, but I think they all understand probably what the weak point, perceived weak point of this Oklahoma offense could possibly be. And then lastly, from an offensive perspective, then we can kind of move to the defensive side of the ball. I think the receivers. I think Jalil Farouk is a guy that seemed to kind of pronounce himself a little bit more in the spring than possibly he did last year. Obviously, being a true freshman last year was a little bit hard, but I think he started to. Obviously, he got that opportunity in the Alamo Bowl, and I think he's taken that, had a really good winter, and then is showing that playmaking ability early on in spring practice here.